Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 5 of the VROOM Show. I'm your host, Wills Jones, along with my co-host, Simon Martel. How's it going, Simon?
Hello, everybody. It's going well. It's going well. You know what? Will's outside it right here in Quebec. It's getting warm. It's getting nice. I've been able to get on the road, do some road cycling. So definitely nice to be able to get out. A lot of that cabin fever was kind of building up during exam season.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, it feels nice.
Nice. I figured for the
How
Monaco
about you? How you
special, I'd rock the nice vintage Mercedes McLaren.
Yeah, I was gonna
Lewis
say
Hamilton first world championship.
I was gonna say exactly. That's a Lewis Hamilton special right there.
Yes, it is, sir.
Crazy to think Mercedes and McLaren were together for a period. Like you look at it now, and like I feel like they're good contenders. Like McLaren is definitely trying. So yeah, crazy to think not too long ago that was a championship team.
Yeah. With one of like the best.
I'll go for it.
Well, I was gonna say also like the Mercedes McLaren F1 marriage also spawned one of the best like road cars of all time, the Mercedes McLaren SLR.
Yeah. Weird looking car. I'll be honest, I never thought it looked good, but it's a really cool car.
Yeah, it's by far, in my opinion, one of the ugliest, but man, is it fast.
Especially if you think that they built the Mclaren F1 and stuff, which was like such a beauty. And then, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mercedes designers definitely took over for the body of that car.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, let's just put as big of engine space we need in front. And then it just turned into a weird looking car.
Yeah, all front end.
Yeah. I guess we can quickly talk about this. Talk about weird cars. Last weekend was Indycar. So for people who don't know, Indycar is another open wheel racing championship. Is it just in America? I'm pretty sure, right? It's just in the United States.
Yeah, they did for a while have other rounds outside of the United States, but I don't think they drew in that many fans because what are you going to go choose to watch, Formula One or IndyCar?
Yeah. Oh, that was the same problem with Formula E as well. It's just like they have to go somewhere where there's definitely no like F1 close by just to be able to contend. But yeah, so talking about IndyCar, which is this series in the United States, this is where Romain Grosjean is now racing. So for those of you maybe weren't following F1 last year, or who kind of forgot, Romain Grosjean was a driver for Haas last year and had a very bad accident. Kind of his car broke in half, blew up in flames. And
to quote Roman himself, the man who walked out of fire.
Yeah, basically. It's pretty intense scene. He was in there for a couple of minutes. Nobody knew really what was happening. And then he kind of walked out by himself, and it was pretty touching. And he's been recovering ever since. His racing suit did an incredible, like, man, science is crazy, job of like saving him. He wasn't burnt out all over his body. The only place he got some really bad burn was his hands, because the gloves, he had to take them off, I think, when he left the car or something like that. He just got burnt pretty bad. And so he's been recovering ever since. And his contract was supposed to expire anyways last season. And so now he's in IndyCar. And all of this to say that kind of a nice story, nice little happy ending. He is a rookie in IndyCar. And just last weekend, finished pole position out of qualifying and finished second place at the race. So I'm really happy for him that he's back racing and having success. It's a pretty great story.
Also, on another side tangent for IndyCar, have you noticed their 3 rookies this year are all like over the age of 35?
Nice.
Yeah. Some solid rookie talent right there.
Yeah, there you go. Go to our next topic, but talking about drivers that are moving between sports, maybe between teams. There's one driver that's not moving between teams. And that's Norris. Lando Norris
Lando
has been
Norris.
extended till 2023. Kind of risky. What do you think? Deserved?
Man, personally, I think like we all know the last time McLaren was a real championship team, they had a Mercedes engine in the back. They have a Mercedes engine in the back again. I like Lando staying. I think McLaren is all in on Lando Norris.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely believe that.
And like if I'm him, I'm sticking with that team because you're the top dog there. Like he's the number one guy in all their promotional videos. Like Danny Rick isn't really centered in any of them. So man, I think he's got a situation made there. That's his Formula One family, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And he's also like, I don't think he necessarily has the credentials or the success yet to be able to move somewhere else and get the bigger contract. So good for him to at least have secured his future for a couple more years. You got to be happy for him. Pretty crazy to think how young he is. I was just saying, I'm happy for him. I think it's good for him to secure his future, and hopefully he can win, you know?
Yeah. Now, from one real contract that has been signed, we're going to move to a hypothetical. Esteban Ocon moving to Mercedes. He's managed by Toto Wolff. He's one of 4, Mercedes drivers on the grid, split within 3 teams. Both Mercedes drivers are out of a contract at the end of this year. Could we see a George and Esteban team Mercedes?
I don't know. I definitely could see Bottas losing his contract. He's been kind of the perfect like second man, but maybe Mercedes want something else. I wouldn't be surprised if they start getting kind of not angry, but kind of pissed off with his attitude of, oh, I want to really compete, not listening to team orders. At a certain point, I think that can lead to him losing his contract. But I wouldn't see Toto bring Esteban back to Mercedes if he's starting to have the success that it shows that he could have with Alpine, just on a personal level as a manager, I imagine Toto just wants to prove that he has an eye for talent or whatever. And so even if he's not in the best car, if he's able to put his driver into a winning position, like that's a success for him,
Yeah, and I like when I, sort of saw this idea floated around, I was like, well, in my opinion, like Ocon's got it made at Alpine right now. Like, I don't see why, and this is bad. Like, I don't see why a French driver would leave a French team. It's just that to me, like, it's a kind of a match made in heaven. I don't really see him leaving either.
I think it's interesting that you bring up the second driver. I could see Russell getting to that position just because William is really not going like anywhere so far. They're struggling. At a certain point, I don't think it's like it's not a useful experience at a certain point for Russell anymore. So I think Toto should start thinking about his progression. He's got to need to get into a fast car, show that he's Mr. Saturday, show up, push Lewis Hamilton. Maybe Lewis will win the races, but if Russell can go and start, qualifying pole every single weekend in that Mercedes, same scenario again. I just think Toto Wolff just shows again his mastermind and that he's figured it out,
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think it's far more likely that George gets promoted into the big boy team at Mercedes than Esteban.
Yeah.
It also, I feel like George is a better driver than Esteban as well. I think George gets far more out of far less of a car than Ocon does.
Really, I find that George Russell gets overhyped because
he's really good
he's
in
a good
qualifying.
driver, and he had a lot of success in the smaller series, but he just hasn't been able to do much in Williams, and he's on his 3rd year now. You know what? It's hard to tell, to show how good of a driver is when he's stuck in a garbage car like he has been. And yeah, he goes Q2 with Williams, but like, okay, it's still Q2,
This is true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's still a lot to prove from those guys, but that's the beauty of it. They're still all very young, and they can definitely show it.
Yeah.
All right, what else can we talk about? Oh yeah, I was just looking it up. Lando Norris hasn't won a race yet. You know, like talking about potential success. Like Lando has his highest position so far in his career has been third place. So let's wait and see. Like you know, how many years did Grosjean and Kevin you know, raced in the Formula One with all the pole and all of that? Like maybe they're good drivers, but at a certain point when you're just kind of a space filler, I don't know.
Yeah, I do agree. Like at a certain point, you kind of do want to solidify yourself as not a midfield driver.
Yeah. And that's kind of the interesting part. I guess we can kind of talk about the relatives because, right, Williams could be kind of the lead up to training teams for Mercedes. We have like Alfa Romeo, or sorry, Alpha. What is it now? Yeah, it's Alfa Romeo for Ferrari. But if we look at those, and then we have AlphaTauri, right, for Red Bull. AlphaTauri has had success. I've won poles. I've done championships. Like it's impressive the success they've been able to have with that, you know, backup team, with that building up team, compared to the other teams on the grid.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I think with what you see with some of these, you know, junior teams, as some of them are called, like I kind of feel like some drivers get very just stuck in the junior team. Like I think Carlos Sainz was one of those drivers. He was about to be stuck in Toro Rosso forever, and he said screw it and got out of there.
Yeah.
It's like they definitely can be a good thing, but I also feel like it's far more beneficial to F1 for your midfield teams to not just be junior teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have like everybody actually racing and they're not, you know, being team radio stuff, you know, let some driver through and it's like, well, you're not on the same team.
Yeah. Yeah. Toto Wolff calling up. Hey, we need a crash right now, Russell. Spin a leader.
Georgie boy.
You like your time in that Mercedes last year, eh? Make sure it's not your last time.
Oh.
Talking about Mercedes, do you remember last year how Mercedes had the DAS system?
Yep. The
Right,
wiggly
so
steering wheel.
the DAS system was a system where they added an axis to the wheel. And what that means is that, you know, with a steering wheel, you can turn left and right, and then there's buttons on it. But then they added an axis where you could pull it towards you and then back and forward. And
it changed what the tires did.
yeah,
like
so
that.
exactly. So soon they realized that by what that system did was that it changed the angle of the tires, which helped save tire degradation because they would change their contact surfaces, which was a genius system. When people first noticed that Lewis Hamilton was moving his wheels, people were very confused, and soon they got kind of banned. But that was one of those things where, which is great about F1, where, you know, people bend the rules, kind of push as so far as they can do, and it's relevant again this season. So if you want to take it away, Wills, but we're going to talk about Red Bull and kind of what they've figured out to bend the rules. Fun.
Yeah. So Red Bull are bending the rules by bending their wing. So I've watched some comparison videos of the Red Bull wing versus the Mercedes and Ferrari wing.
Yeah.
Now the Mercedes wing stays dead level the entire time, does not move an inch. The Red Bull wing looks like it drops at least 2 inches on the straights.
Wow.
Like it's pretty significant. Like to be able to watch like Max Verstappen gets on the gas and the wing just lowers and lowers. It was like I watched that and I was like, oh my, like that is a noticeable difference. And if you're driving behind that car, like you will see it. I also feel like you'd be a little bit afraid the wing's gonna fly off at you, but
Yeah, I was gonna say you're like it's good to test it, but at the end of a of a 200-kilometer race, I would be afraid that the load would kind of just crack it.
yeah. So to sort of fight this, the FIA have introduced new testing rules. So they're going to do load testing. So what the testing was before was pretty much we're going to strap, 2 ropes onto the back of your wing and give it a tug as hard as we can. And if we don't see it move, it's good. So now that teams have started to figure out a way around that, and now Red Bull is not the only team doing this, but they are by far the most dramatic. So the FIA is simply starting. I'm not 100% sure on how they're going to test it, but they're doing what's called load testing. So seeing how that wing will react under a simulated aero load.
Yeah. I think what can be interesting to discuss here is why is the FIA reacting that way? Why is it a big deal? And maybe why did that rule have to exist? So first of all, kind of the principle behind the reason of that rule and the reason the FIA is implementing it is that it's the way like F1 cars are built now and have certain restriction. One of those is that they don't have any moving aerodynamics parts, except if you think about it, the DRS, which is part of the race, right? It's controlled and it does the kind of like a whole system, but you're not supposed to have, other than that, any other aerodynamic parts that is able to move. And so the bending of the wing just, it moves a lot. And so that's kind of the whole reason they're reacting that way. And another thing I think really interesting is that there's no consequences, there's no punishing. They're just saying that, oh, this rule will be enforced a lot more in a couple of Grand Prix, so get ready to, modify your thing. So it's kind of a situation where the FIA realized they got played. They kind of have to keep face. They got to switch up the rules, but nothing illegal happened.
Yeah. Well, that I saw a quote from Helmut Marko, the Red Bull's F1 director, and he said, and I quote, "Red Bull has not done anything illegal up until this point."
Yeah, by mid-season they're going to be trying everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so pretty interesting stuff. I'm kind of sad for Red Bull. Every time somebody can find kind of an edge and it helps, I think it's good for the sport. I think it's interesting I think that's kind of the beauty of once you get it really to F1 is the difference in the aerodynamics. You see the complexities. So yeah, it's something I'm kind of disappointed they're punishing. Hopefully it doesn't take off too much pace from Red Bull.
Yeah, I hope this isn't a Ferrari 2018 situation where they do find something wrong, don't actually disclose fully what it is, and then the team is shit for the next 3 years.
Yeah, okay,
so
let's
hopefully
talk about this, because I learned recently about this. I didn't realize that that's kind of what brought the downfall of Ferrari. But do you want to kind of talk about it, elaborate a little bit more for people who maybe don't know the story?
Yeah, sure. So what happened with Ferrari, was it 2017 or 2018?
I think it was like 4 or 5 races into 2018.
Yeah, so Lewis started doing what Lewis does and starting to complain because the Ferraris were ridiculously fast down the straights. Now Ferrari
crazy fast. Yeah.
They've traditionally been a team that care more about their straight line speed than their cornering ability. So I don't think anyone was too terribly surprised. Then the FIA looked into it, and all of a sudden Ferrari was a lot slower.
Yeah, that's the big thing that we really got to emphasize here is that Ferrari had like 3 races in a row, performance like dominating, like really competing top row, and then like the race after that, they just had lost everything. They were right back into middle of the field, completely different car.
And so what was speculated was going on with the Ferrari, if anybody's curious? I think it's quite funny. The Italians originally built a car that had a leaky oil line in the radiator, and that leaky oil line just happened to be leaking some very combustible oil right on top of the cylinders.
Oh,
so
that's crazy.
I'm pretty sure they did that, saw, oh no, we have a leaky line, probably fixed it, realized, oh shit, the leaky line made us way faster, and put it back in. FIA caught on and wasn't having it.
Yeah, some regulation about like width of tubes or amount of gasoline, of oil that can make it to the engine. It's never been proven, and this is kind of the part that was the controversy that Wills was talking about, was that Ferrari really never got punished for it, but there was kind of a backdoor agreement between Ferrari and FIA where they're like, look, we think we know, you know, so we'll just touch it, and we'll never tell. Don't ever tell, and we'll be fine. And since Ferrari is the darling of the Formula One paddock, well, it kind of flew by.
Yeah, I feel like the ghost of Enzo had something to do with that. They all sat down at the FIA headquarters, and he just popped up in the corner with his cigar and his glasses and was like, "You're not kicking me out."
Just full. Yeah. All right. So we kind of talked a little bit about the past, but let's talk about what's coming up. Pretty big, iconic race. Every year usually happens. We did not have it last year, but this year it is happening. Monaco. Let's talk about
Monaco Grand Prix, the beautiful Monaco Grand Prix.
One
the most beautiful thing.
One of the worst racing experience of this season, but very cool race anyways. You have to tune in anyways.
It's going to be even cooler, even more special this year, because McLaren have repainted their car in what I think has to be one of the most tasteful Formula One liveries to date.
Man, this livery is dope. So I'll try to describe it for people who are maybe just listening to it. It's the Gulf Oil livery. So that beautiful baby blue orange, and they put it on their car. It looks so good. It's an incredibly good looking car. And what's even better is that they just went all in. The drivers have new racing suits with color matching cars, with the color matching and everything. And I think if I read it correctly, the garage is going to have the colors as well. And
yeah, so their whole like area in the paddock has been completely rebranded to the full Gulf livery, Gulf at everything. It's amazing. I think this is awesome. I want to see more of this in F1.
I agree. And I think what's so awesome is the kind of racing history that comes behind it. So during the reveal, they showed the Mclaren F1 in Gulf livery that like finished second place at Le Mans a couple of years, like 20 or 30 years ago. It's just an incredibly powerful livery. I'm thinking about one of my favorite cars of all time, the GT40 in Gulf livery. It's just incredible. Such a good looking car.
I genuinely think you can put any car in a Gulf livery and it'll look good.
Oh, I agree. I was obsessed for a while. I looked at maybe painting my motorcycle that color. Like, yeah, it's just it's just a great looking livery. And yeah, first time though I saw it, first time I saw the announcement, I was puzzled. I was very surprised that a team in 2021 went full marketing blitz with a petrol company. You know, not trying to be that guy, but like kind of surprising. You don't see it as much. A lot of advertising over the years has become controversial. You can think about cigarette brands, a lot less alcohol in certain countries.
Even that McLaren car on it still has Views is a vaporizer, nicotine vape. So there is kind of still.
I did not know that. There you go. And it's probably still owned by Marlboro somewhere in there, the parent company. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Beautiful looking car, very cool livery. We can talk about maybe some other one-off liveries that happened last year. Ferrari did a one-off livery for their 1000th race, I think.
The 1000th, yeah, Ferrari's 1000th Grand Prix,
Yeah,
the
the
Burgundy
1000th
car.
Grand Prix. It was a very cool car. They kind of switched. They kind of moved it around without doing it too much, which was very tasteful. They did a dark like
Burgundy, yeah, it was
on their
very
car,
nice.
and it was very nice. It was very cool. I think the pictures don't give it justice as much as it looks in person. From what I've seen, like videos look way better than the pictures. But yeah,
It
really
looks way
cool
better
looking car.
moving than it does stationary.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if usually most of those pictures was the car surrounded by the bright red cars, and it looks weird compared to all the bright red Ferraris, but really cool car. And then yeah, I can
There
think
was
of
also
a
the
couple other
Mercedes,
one-offs. Yeah,
the Mercedes 2018 German Grand Prix livery. I think it was 2018. They had the white front end of the car with the old school Mercedes cursive script on it. That one I also thought looked very good. But my all-time favorite one-off livery, and this is because at heart I'm a rally guy. There's nothing better than seeing a four-wheel drive hatchback slide around a corner. It was the BAR 006 at the 2004 Chinese Grand Prix in the full 555 Subaru racing livery. Oh,
crazy. I know that was a great looking car.
mm-hmm. It and like the 555 livery too is one of those first like race cars that like you really see, or at least that I saw, and I was like, whoa. So like for me, seeing that livery on an F1 car is just so cool.
Yeah. I can think of other kind of another couple of times where like I think it's cool when when a team maybe makes like a special occasion throughout the season and kind of spices things up. We can think about I'm thinking about Mercedes. I think in 2019 celebrating their one of their one of their achievements. I don't remember which one, but they all dressed up in old like engineer clothes and like retro, and it
Yeah, they
was
all
really
showed up to
cool looking. And
Hockenheim
then
in their Lederhosen and
yeah, and then
yeah.
it ended up being a disaster weekend for them, which was even better because they were all dressed up and celebrating, and then got absolutely crushed in their home Grand Prix. Incredible weekend, but yeah, it was cool. And then we can think maybe I don't remember the year. Was it 2005? No, yeah, 2005, where Red Bull had like went full Star Wars, and like every pit crew helmet was a stormtrooper, which was pretty crazy.
Seeing that
And
was
then
like seeing pictures of that's pretty funny. A whole bunch of stormtroopers servicing a car.
yeah, I feel like I like watched way younger when I was way younger. I watched videos about Formula One, and like I saw those pit crew, and I thought that was like how they normally dressed, and I was like, man, that's some sick helmets. That's what they always wear. Like, are they connected to oxygen? Like, I was tripping. I thought that was so cool, and then I realized no, it's a style feature. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
unfortunately.
yeah, so the one-offs are cool. I think it's important, especially for just the nature of the sport and for people to keep following that, you know, liveries don't change too much. Just because that's like the main way to follow a race and to like kind of know what's happening is how distinct the cars are on the racetrack. I'm thinking about like, you know, that Alpine blue is way different now that Renault was maybe a little bit, where the yellow and the orange was pretty similar. Now that blue is very different. And then you have the opposite. For example, like the Aston Martin and the Mercedes are very similar, especially when they go quick side by side. Like it's kind of hard to see the difference. So yeah, I think seeing those different colors, but especially seeing them week after week, it just makes for a better viewing experience just because it's easier to distinguish between all the races.
Yeah, and like I've been popping in and out of watching NASCAR races every now and then this season, and I've noticed like every freaking week the cars are painted differently. I have no idea who's in what car because I'm trying to pick out paint jobs and liveries that look the same throughout week to week, and
Oh,
they
okay.
NASCAR
Can I
changes
take a
up a lot.
moment to rant? Oh my God, I agree with you so much. IndyCar and NASCAR have the worst fucking graphics on TV. It's absurd. They're so bad. I'm like, I know they're talking about, then they go, oh, number 29. And then I try to look at the standings, but the 29 is in the team colors, so it's even hard to read the numbers. And then you're not sure if that's his position or his number, the way they put it. And it's just like, it's so confusing and it's so badly done. It's like, please help me out here. Just put the names and then just maybe put like an infographic like pointing to the car so that I know. Like
And well, like in NASCAR, it worked fine, and it's worked fine in GT cars and stuff, naming them off by number because you have a full car, and that's a lot of body space to throw a big ass number on the roof, the doors,
yeah.
and the hood if you want to. So yeah, I think F1 and Formula racing should really be down to driver name and not driver number.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, especially that IndyCar where they literally just took the exact graphic from NASCAR and plastered it on IndyCar, and it doesn't work as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess we can kind of wrap things up about liveries, but something that could be interesting, I think, hopefully that wouldn't be too demanding and maybe in manpower or whatever, would be I would love to see teams letting their creativity go during something maybe that doesn't matter. Or, oh, I just had an idea. Imagine if they had those one-off livery, or they kind of did something fun every time they did the sprint qualifyings or the sprint races on Saturdays. That could be fun. That could be a kind of a fun way to, when you see replays and stuff, you know that, oh, this was the race and then this was the sprint race, two different liveries, maybe some little quirks, some little different things that kind of identifies the difference. Could be a fun idea, could let the creative minds kind of go haywire and stuff. Would be fun.
Yeah, I love that's a brilliant idea. It would make the sprint qualifying so much more exciting too. You don't get to
Yeah,
see
like,
what livery it is until they're on the grid.
oh, stop. That'd be crazy. They drive in and then all of a sudden the mechanics go to the front and they pull off the skin and there's a completely different livery on the feet.
Somebody get Jean Todt on the phone with us right now. We have an idea.
And then another idea that could work well is, for example, during free practice, 1 or 2. So when there's no points in the line, it's just teams experimenting and stuff. We've seen it in the past, and I think it'd be cool to see again where teams just kind of send their third car or whatever off with a different livery, and it'd be cool. Hopefully, they can show off some cool artistic, daring design.
I would love that.
All right, so this kind of brings us all back to Monaco. Oh, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we talk about what's coming up this weekend?
Yeah, so we kind of had that tangent about liveries because McLaren is bringing their one-off livery to Monaco, and now I think it's kind of important for maybe people who don't know the significance behind Monaco to talk about it. So why would McLaren bring a one-off livery they're never going to bring again to Monaco specifically?
Well, Monaco specifically as a racing Grand Prix has been happening since 1929. So this is long before, the days of
That's crazy.
there's a real championship, whatever. It was like you're a guy who has a fast car. Yeah, go down to Monaco and you can win a car race. So it started out like pretty,
and then you can party before and after.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all fun and it's awesome. But so yeah, it's super old, super historic venue. The track is unlike any other in terms of the skill you need to get around and just the consequences if you go off track, because there really isn't any off track at Monaco. It's the racetrack, and then walls that will tear your car apart.
Yeah, and I want to
So
kind of expand on that to give an idea to the viewers. This track, it's so different that cars and Formula One like teams, when they come to race at Monaco, they have to change their gearing in their steering system because turns are so tight that their usual settings don't turn the wheels short enough for them to make the turn. So for that race, they changed the gearing so that the steering can be tighter than normal.
and even like in years past until recently, it was you just made a whole other chassis for Monaco because it's such a different track, such a tight track. Usually the cars had a little bit tighter wheelbase to twitch around a little better, and we're just a little bit more designed to be a little more nimble, a little bit more twitchy, a little more forgiving around that track. So
but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
one of the big things, and that's kind of the major criticism of Monaco nowadays, is that Formula One cars are pretty big now compared to what they were in the 30s and the 40s.
they're about as long and as wide as a Cadillac Escalade. For those who are kind of wondering how big these cars are, they're only like 3 feet off the ground. They can drive under an Escalade, but they will fit exactly under it.
Yeah, and and then what that means is that the circuit that Will's just described, that has the tight walls and not a lot of space for error. Well, with those huge cars, not a lot of places to overtake or to race very aggressively.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and another thing that makes Monaco so special, apart from it being a country that turns into a racetrack. There's one. Think about that for a second. It's also the only event on the Triple Crown of Motorsport, which is Monaco, Le Mans, and Indy. If you can win all three of those, you're one of the greatest of all time. And do I have it here? I do have it written in here somewhere. Who was the last person to do it? I can't find it now, of course. But Monaco is the only race in the Triple Crown where
I have the answer for you.
When I'm done this, hit me with it. It's the only race in the Triple Crown where you have to be competing in the championship. So other like the Indy 500, any driver can jump into the Indy 500 and go drive and race it. Pretty much the same with Le Mans. There is a bit of a qualifying process to Le Mans, but once the car itself is qualified, the team can fully change out who the drivers are. So it's special for that reason, in that you can't just go to the Monaco Grand Prix and try and compete in it and win. You have to compete in Formula One the entire season and still race at that race and gain championship points. In recent years, I've seen people interpret the Triple Crown as winning the F1 World Championship, but it's still Monaco.
Yeah, and especially considering like not a lot of people have been able to achieve the Triple Crown, which is kind of why it makes it so legendary. To answer your question, what you're looking for, the last one to do it was Graham Hill.
Graham Hill, yes.
I don't know the year though. I'd be really curious to know. I'll Google it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Graham Hill was an all-time great racing driver. Drove for Lotus, if I remember correctly. Damon Hill's father.
Yeah. So he's actually the only one to have completed the Triple Crown. So there's 19 drivers who have completed all three and have won at least one of the events. But there's Graham Hill is the only one who's won all three. And then Fernando Alonso, current
is close.
racer right now, is has won two out of three events, so he only has one left to get that triple crown.
Mm-hmm. He's been trying for that Indy 500 for so long though.
Yeah.
Like I think once he won Monaco and he was with McLaren and they had their IndyCar team, every Monaco for like 2 years he would go to Indianapolis and try and win the 500.
So so that's a triple crown, which kind of makes it an incredible achievement if somebody can make it. I hope we don't see Lewis Hamilton starting to go to Le Mans and Indy 500 again soon.
Could you imagine Lewis at the Indy 500?
Yeah. I feel like it wouldn't work for him. It'd be the first time in his life, well, not in his life, but first time in the last 10 years where he wouldn't be in the car that crushes, like dominates the competition. Like, oof.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big reasons why Monaco is so big, such a huge event. Of current drivers on the grid who have won at Monaco, Lewis Hamilton has won 6 times. Not a surprise considering he has one of the better cars in the last 6 years. But another big thing with Monaco, and you can kind of attest to this, but qualifying is probably like one of the most important qualifying of this season is at Monaco.
Yeah, you can know exactly what happens at the Monaco Grand Prix if you only watch qualifying.
Yeah.
Like if there's no rain for the race and you've watched qualifying, you almost definitely know the top 5.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. There's one exception, and it's kind of because of the current cars in Monaco. Cars are so big and Monaco's so tiny that cars aren't able to go fast enough to cool everything that goes wrong. So it's very current. It happens a lot that cars will break down at Monaco. Brakes will overheat, engine will overheat, brake lines will explode. Especially if this weekend is supposed to be hot. I'm not sure of the weather, but cars are not able to cool down because they just don't have the speed around Monaco. So that's one of the main things that can happen is cars breaking downs and DNFs, and then the rankings can change pretty quickly, especially if it happens at a bad spot and then you have a safety car, couple more laps. So that kind of what makes it always worth it to watch it is that there's always this what if something breaks.
Yeah, and there have been Monaco Grand Prix in the past where half the grid has either broken down or crashed out. So it's still like, for as much as you can say that the race is just a very expensive parade and there's no passing and it's super boring, like you don't watch Monaco to see cars pass, or you don't watch it for the racing. You watch it because it's a spectacle. Like it is. Monaco is not a race, it's a parade.
Yeah.
It's a parade with a pass every now and then is what it is.
And I guess what else with Monaco that's pretty interesting is like, just because of the location of what it is, it's the reunion of the ultra rich. It's like a huge calendar, it's a huge event. They all put it on their calendars every year, and then it's always a kind of a competition of who has the biggest dick. Everybody
who has the biggest yacht, Simon? Yacht.
Yep. Well, maybe one's related to the other. I'm sure a couple of them think that way, but so it's pretty crazy because a yacht seen anywhere else in the world, that's the biggest, the most incredible yacht you'll ever see, comes to Monaco for a racing weekend and parks, and we'll have a neighbor that makes it look like it's a little little lake boat compared to the yacht, to the real yacht.
Yeah.
So it's
like where I live in Ottawa, we're like right along the Rideau Canal, and there's you get some big boats come down there every now and then. So I always thought I saw those big boats going along the canal, and I was like, damn, those are huge. And then you watch the Monaco Grand Prix, and it's like there are people who have one boat to themselves, and their boat is a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, like boats with helipads are just regular.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a special kind of occasion, probably a crazy party weekend, and I'm sure a lot of people try to find a friend who has a boat during that weekend because must be some crazy parties. But
And well, the Monaco schedule does have a day designated for the drivers to get as hammered as they want. Practice for Monaco is on the Thursday of the week. They have Friday off, and then races on the weekend. Now the Friday off is because there's like bank holidays and stuff in Monaco on the Friday, and they do a whole bunch of ceremonial stuff. And because Monaco is so small, pretty much everything important that they do on that Friday is on the track. There's a at turn one, there's a little ceremony there's a church there, so that area is taken up on the Friday. And then up at the casino at Casino Square, there's another public gathering, so they can't, the track is being used. It's also used the Friday as a day to like replenish everything in the city. They pretty much run out of food, run out of water. like they don't have anything in the city by the time Friday comes around, so they need to replenish all of their stocks.
Yeah. Um, and then last thing, it kind of goes back to what you said, where Monaco is a small little principality, very tight pack, but it's a pretty incredible because it's on a steep hill, and so it's condos everywhere. And during the race week, every single balcony is going to be overfilled with people. People rent out their
No social
Airbnbs.
distancing.
Well, I guess we'll have to see this year. I imagine there won't be many because usually it's completely packed, and since everyone's just going to be in their homes, probably no difference. But yeah, it's a really cool kind of situation where a lot of people can watch the race directly in person, where it's not limited by grandstands or gates. Like there's a lot of people in every single apartment, lining every single boat. It's packed usually,
And it's like
we'll have to see this weekend.
It's like F1 cars are driving by your front door. Like if somehow you are unaware that the Grand Prix is happening, you
Yeah.
could open your front door and car goes by. Now, Simon, I have
Yeah,
a
I hope
question
everybody
for you.
likes the Grand Prix in Monaco.
I have a question to pose to you. If you had all the money in the
I'm
world,
ready.
where are you watching this Grand Prix from? Right at the hairpin, on a yacht, Casino Square, from an apartment, the hillside, like up above the city, or from the actual grandstand?
It has to be the yachts.
It has to be a yacht.
I would have the yachts parked. It has to be a yacht parked right at the chicane at the end of the tunnel. There's always a couple cars that jump it, so you have a little bit of excitement. You put it on the TV on your yacht as you entertain. A lot of friends and attractive ladies there. You party. You have the cars whiz by. Would be an incredible time. Incredible.
The only place I want to watch the Monaco Grand Prix is from a yacht. I will turn down an offer to go to the Monaco Grand Prix if you're not putting me on a yacht. I don't want to see it if I'm not on a yacht.
Even better than that, you know what? I have all the money in the world. I'm going on Kimi's yacht, and I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting for him to come after he crashes. Walks in with me. Let's go.
Man, have you seen the videos of Kimi after the FIA like drivers banquet? Oh my,
No.
they are amazing. Dude knows how to party. Like he comes out of this banquet, and you know that just when somebody's very drunk and there's just nothing going on here, Kimi walks out, and of course there are all of his Finnish fans. Ah, Kimi. He comes over, he steals one of their hats, puts it on. He like takes pictures with them. Man, Kimi drunk seems like the most fun person ever.
Yeah, Man, Kimi is just an incredible fucking character. I'll be sad the day he decides to retire because he does not give a single fuck about any reporter, about anyone. He doesn't take shit from anyone. He just kind of, he's doing a hobby. He's racing. It's a hobby. It's so incredibly good.
Man, I want to see team boss Kimi Räikkönen. I want to know what that would look like.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the greatest like team player. I guess we never really hear from his teammate, like if he's helping or if he's a mentor. Like I have no clue, but it would be interesting because he does own a part of AlphaTauri now. Not AlphaTauri, sorry, Alfa Romeo.
Too many alphas in this sport.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I think we can kind of wrap it up, but let's talk about quali. So qualification, Lewis has been qualifying really well in the past. Ricardo was a Monaco winner a couple of years ago, and so Fernando Alonso has been a Monaco winner. So what do you think? Who's surprising everybody, and name me one person that's going to surprise us and one person that's going to disappoint us.
So I would say, for what I think, I'm saying Charles puts it P3 in qualifying.
Okay.
It's his home Grand Prix.
Race. Yep.
So that's what I say. Charles puts it
like
P3. I think Max is going to take pole.
Yeah, I agree. He's been really performing with that car, and he has had good weekends in Monaco.
I say Max puts it on pole, but then for the race, I think Max goes for an open lobby send at turn 1 and takes Lewis out, and they're both out of the race. That's my prediction. That's my hot take for Monaco.
That'd be a good race. All right. So the disappointing part would be the runners up to crash. Okay. I think someone who's going to surprise us. I think Ricardo is going to surprise us in the one-off livery in McLaren, showing off that he's won in this race before. I think Ricardo is going to have his first like weekend saying, "Hey, what's up? I'm here. I'm ready for it. This is his weekend." I think someone who's going to disappoint it, Charles Leclerc. I think he's going to disappoint us with the Ferrari.
Really?
I don't think he's going to be able to do as well as you wish. I think it's going to be a heartbreak, but there's just a lot of good cars right now, like that are contending for that third place, and I don't feel Leclerc is the one who's going to get it.
Intriguing.
There you go, spicy take.
I have one more question for you before we leave, and that's how many times is Nikita Mazepin going to red flag the sessions? Is it going to be a red flag every day?
Practice 1, free practice 2, free practice 3, 4 times. 4 times out of 5. Exactly, especially considering that if he does crash, it's in a barricade and there's just debris everywhere. So yeah,
I know all he has to do is spin and it's going to red flag.
And that guy. I watched a video of him, like I guess the Haas social team was trying to make like a get to know the driver things or whatever. And he wasn't very likable. I was like, damn, buddy, you gotta like help your case out a little bit, like he was kind of a dick to Mick Schumacher, and I was like, man, yeah, I know. It's like, okay. Money can really buy you anything.
True.
Except maybe FIA points. Maybe he's gonna lose enough to lose his license, but
oh, that'd be bad for Nikita and for Haas.
Yeah.
That'd just look bad on them altogether.
I'm surprised Haas is still in here. Like they've just had bad, like a bad reputation. Gene Haas hasn't been really like looking like he still wants to be involved in F1. So I think it's looking more and more like the team's going to be sold during this off season. But I guess we'll see.
Man, I just want all of the NASCAR team owners to come together and just make a true American F1 team. Because US F1 was supposed to happen back in 2010 as a fully
really. I
yeah
have never heard about that. Okay,
car engine drivers
that be,
all American. That's what they were trying to do, and
that's exactly what I'm thinking. I want to see Ford come back into the constructor. Ford with a
bring
Ford
me
engine, you know,
bring me a
branded
V8 Cosworth.
EcoBoost. It would make so much sense. They get an EcoBoost, you know, it's the V6 hybrid. That's exactly like great branding.
The
Put a
Ford
VROOM
Raptor
skin
uses
on
a
it or
V6.
something. It'd be incredible.
The Ford Raptor uses a V6 turbo hybrid. It's obviously not a
Exactly.
Formula One V6 turbo hybrid, but it is the
Yeah,
technology is
and it'd
all
be
there.
relevant for the marketing. Like nobody watches NASCAR anymore. So if Ford goes into F1, maybe starts partnering up with Aston Martin, like through Cosworth or something. Now we're talking. That would be fun.
Yes. More Cosy V8s, please.
Yeah. All right. So we can kind of wrap it up. The Monaco F1 Grand Prix is starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, May 23rd. So this Sunday at 9, make sure to tune in for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Be there, be square.
And then, like Will said already, Thursday is going to be free practice. And then Saturday is going to be free practice 3 and qualifying. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope there's some crashes. Would make it interesting. Hopefully not just a parade. 1 or 2 overtake would be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Having a 2-week drought between F1 races really hits you hard when you think about it. So no,
It really
I'm ready
does.
for to get some racing again.
Very much so.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week.
That's it. Yeah, that's it for us. Thank you guys.